Hey, welcome everybody. It's the slap that was heard around the world. Welcome to It Came From GenX. I am your host, Keith Porter, along with your other host, Brian Fisher, and your other host, Mike Skinner. We're also known as Porterhouse, Fishbone, and Skinbone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is the show about life through the eyes of Gen Xers. And we hope you enjoy this next hour with us. We have a lot of great stuff to talk about. We cover a wide range of music news, sports news, world news, pop culture. And we're very excited about today's show because it's been an extraordinary past few days, good and bad. So we are not going to waste any time. So much to talk about. We're going to let Fish tell you where you can find the show, and then we'll get this thing cooking. Normally, we do little introductions about our weekend, but we'll skip that for today. Fish, where can we find the show?
All right. You might be listening to us on WMBU.org, Global Internet Radio, Mondays from 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern. Pull up their site, play live now, and find us there, along with their other fine content they offer. Free of charge. You can listen to us whenever you want to, on demand. We're on many podcast platforms, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and more. You can also stream the show right on our Facebook page at It Came From GenX. Subscribe wherever you listen, and as we publish new episodes, they'll pop in your feed for you on your podcast platform, and listen to us for free. All show information, links to our YouTube channel, It Came From GenX, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, all that good stuff. Two main places, Linktree, It Came From GenX. Just search Linktree, It Came From GenX. That is our Linktree page. It's simply a page with links. Very simple. And our website. If you go to one main area, go to our website. It Came From GenX, one word, .wordpress, also one word, .com. And all information is there for you. Links to current episodes on Spotify, links to our videos, promos, and our Patreon account. If you wish to throw us a couple of bucks, you may do so there on our Patreon page. And that's it. If you like our stuff, we appreciate your support. Give us a like, a subscribe, a share, and we appreciate your support out there. You know what? Just keep our name in your mouth. There's certain things people don't like to have in their mouth, which we'll talk about here. But you may keep our show name, It Came From GenX, in your mouth as much as you want to, with no risk to you personally. There you have it.
Absolutely. You can also find us.
Go ahead.
Like I said, you can also find us at www.ohiorestrainingorders.com. So
that's right.
There's a couple of bucks on a Patreon account will go well for Keith and getting some tinted windows in his car.
I'm going to need it. I'm obviously going to need it.
Mm-hmm. That's
okay.
right.
Well, Skinner, since you're Mr. Funny Man, why don't you take it away?
Man, oh man, we've got tons of things in the news today, but I tell you what, this weekend, pop culture said, hold my beer, because we're going to take the headlines for the next couple of weeks. You know, we've talked in exhaustion about the COVID and the pandemic over the last couple of years, and most recently the Ukraine-Russian, we're going to call it a war because that's what it is. Unfortunately, somebody, I don't know him personally, but he's pretty big name out there. His name is Maxim Cagle. He's a kickboxing champion. Unfortunately, he lost his life today defending his country of Ukraine, trying to protect the city of Mariupol. You know, my heart goes out to all these people that have been displaced, all these soldiers, men and women that are protecting themselves. That picture of that mayor standing on a roof with a 57 caliber gun still rings in my head. Looking at that picture, just aching for these people. You know, they're finally coming around. The Putin is getting nailed and getting called for for war crimes, and I hope it's just not a bunch of BS that they're throwing out there in the media. I hope, in fact, that they really do try him and get this thing for war crimes, because some of the devastation that we're seeing is just unbelievable. But our hearts go out to Maxim Cagle. I think that's how you pronounce his last name. But to his family, to his friends and family, certainly our prayers are for them. Did you guys hear about that, or do you have anything about the
No, haven't heard
conflict
anything about
going
that.
on? I know we've talked a lot about it, and I just wanted to, show praise and respect to Mr. Cagle.
Yeah, it's just such a tragedy anyway, all the way around. So many people being displaced and losing their lives and everything. It's just to picture that happening in your home country where people just come in. It's just a terrible, terrible thing. So yeah, we obviously hope that is resolved very soon without further death and destruction of those poor people.
You know what irritates me the most? And don't get me wrong, I feel for the people of Ukraine. My family, we pray for the people of Ukraine. But this has been going on in Africa for years. Total genocide. People being displaced, children kidnapped, kidnapped by warlords, turned into murderous soldiers. But they don't publicize that on the news. That's the part that ticks me off the most about all of this. So pray for Africa too. Amen.
Absolutely.
All right. All right. Thank you, Skinner. No sports to talk about today. We're going to a little bit of music news. Usually Fisher has unfortunate passing to report, and it falls under my purview today. Particularly, this young man is a drummer. For those of you who don't know, I'm a professional drummer by trade. But Taylor Hawkins, 25 years. It's hard to believe. 25 years with the Foo Fighters.
Wow.
Yeah, can you believe that? Passed away suddenly. It was on I want to get the exact date here.
Friday.
It was Friday, and there was not much report now. It's been reported it is apparent overdose on drugs, which is truly sad. And this guy was an incredible, I don't want to say incredible drummer. He was an incredible musician. I knew he could play the heck out of the drums, but I had no idea he was an amazing singer. If you guys want to be blown away, go on YouTube and pull him up singing my favorite Queen song, Somebody to Love. Dave Grohl gets on drums, gets him off the drums. It's just unbelievable. And just really sad to hear that. And man, Dave Grohl, I mean, this guy was a drummer who lost his front man. Then he becomes a front man and loses his drummer. So, sheesh. Pray for him too. So that's all there is.
Did you know he originally got his start with Alanis Morissette?
Yes, he was Alanis Morissette's drummer.
Alanis Morissette. I didn't know that until today.
Yes. Foo Fighter fan, Fisher?
I don't listen to their stuff enough. When I hear it, though, I like it. They're very talented musicians and everything, so I need to become more familiar with them. But
same here.
Definitely talented. And we recently went out to Dean, Nick, and I saw their movie, that Studio 666, which was a very fun movie. And watching those guys interact, you could tell they really, I don't know, they were having a lot of fun making that movie. I used to
couldn't stand the band. I really couldn't. And every time I catch myself singing, man, that's a catchy song. Who was that? Foo Fighters. Yeah. Like, wow. So I've grown to respect them and probably need to listen to them more as well. Skinner, fan of Foo Fighters?
Absolutely. Yeah, I got to know them when they first came out. Funny thing is, I had no idea Dave Grohl was Nirvana's drummer. I had watched a live concert out, I think they were in London, and Dave Grohl got behind the drum kit, and I'm like, wait a minute, he plays the drums? And then I did more research and realized he was the drummer for Nirvana initially.
Okay. All right.
But yeah, with Taylor Hawkins, though, his smile was infectious.
Yeah, he had a
On the
great smile. He
videos,
was very. It was amazing how many musicians mentioned his smile.
yeah, if you watch his videos, I wish I remembered which video particularly. Um, Grohl sitting on a bench and Taylor comes walking by and sits down next to him. One of them's got a guitar case. The other one's, I think Taylor had his drumsticks. And they were in a park in this public place, and he just was smiling from ear to ear. And it's just an infectious smile, and it's just so sad to hear that he's gone. You know, they found some substances in his body that hasn't become, I don't think, it's become public, but I don't know if it's been documented as fact yet or not. But left behind 3 kids and a wife. It's just such a sad thing. But yeah,
Sure is.
huge
Okay.
Foo Fighters fan. Enjoyed their music.
All right, thank you. Okay, guys, this day in music, just a couple of quick things. And Fisher, you can kind of segue off of this and tell your half of what you got from this, because you just told us something in the pre-show about Genesis. So I'm going to start off. This day in music, Genesis actually started their first North American tour.
Wow.
Yeah. Since Peter Gabriel left the band, it was with Phil Collins taking over as lead singer their very first time. So with that being said, Fish.
Yeah, so on the other end of that, Genesis just performed their last concert over in England. I think it was over the weekend here. So, the 3 remaining, the main guys, got together and did a small tour. Phil Collins, poor man, is suffering various health conditions.
Another
he wasn't
great
able
drummer.
to. Yes, indeed. So, and his son played drums on the tour, so that's pretty cool that
nice.
the son was able to do that. Pick up the sticks, I guess, where his dad left off, if you will. And Phil has to sit the entire shows. He has bad back issues and this and that. But he got out there. The last song can be found out there on YouTube, excuse me. So just
I wonder if they designed it to kind of end at the same time.
I don't know. I don't know.
Amazing.
There must be something there.
I know we all grew up watching the 80s videos, whether it was Genesis, whether it was Phil Collins by himself, or even Peter Gabriel by himself.
Sure.
I never would thought I'd ever listen to anybody like Peter Gabriel, but the So album is one of the most brilliant albums I've ever heard in my life. I used to play it over and over again. Me and Coach Cooper would sit there and listen to that album. And ironically enough, this day in music, Kate Bush in 2014 did her first live shows in 35 years, and it sold out less than 15 minutes. And I had never heard Kate Bush till I listened to the Peter Gabriel solo album. Unbelievable voice. So, okay. So also, guys, this day in music. Oh, and 1981, an amazing band by the name of Blondie. And I think everybody thought the lead singer's name was Blondie, so she was blonde, but that was the band's name. Started a 2-week run at #1 with the song Rapture on the U.S. charts. Blondie went on to have just tons of great hits, great band. One of my favorite bands to play with other bands. The song got credited a lot with being the first rap, which has been total misinformation for years. It wasn't the first rap, but she got a lot of credit for that. Certainly, it was a big hit, and no one had ever heard that kind of speech pattern that they could remember. But actually, if you want to hear the first rap, it was done in 1940 by the group called the Jubilaires, a song called Nola, and that's when the actual first rap was ever done. Somebody did something like that. So, guys, Blondie fans, Skinner?
Yeah, I listened to him in our time. I was 10, 11, 12 years old. So, yeah, music was starting to become a big thing with me. Blondie was definitely one of those that I like to listen to on the radio.
Cool. Fish?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I remember the videos on MTV. Deborah Harry and Pat Benatar, those two ladies really set the tone for the 80s women rockers for sure. So, definitely iconic. A lot of good stuff.
A lot of good stuff. Hey guys, there's 3 birthdays I want to point out today, and it's Ladies' Day. Because 3 women who I have tons of respect for. One I never thought I'd say I have respect for her. The first one is Reba Mcintyre, born this day in 1954. Country artist, TV artist, movies.
Yeah.
She's just an amazing woman. She comes off as a class act. Happy birthday to Reba Mcintyre. The other one is someone else I have respect for, Cheryl James, also known as Salt from the group Salt and Pepper. One of the original rap groups. I love watching their movie. If you haven't seen that, check it out. Tells their story. Salt and Pepper just lasted throughout the decades. They're still popular. Push It, one of the most popular club songs in history. So happy
going on
birthday,
tour with the Kids on the Block this year.
Yes, that's right. What the mixtape tour?
That's right.
Yeah, Miss Marcy saw that mixtape tour about 2 years ago, I think.
Really?
Salt and Pepper
Okay.
was there. Yeah, up in Cleveland. Her and a bunch of girlfriends went. She said it was a good time.
I'll bet. And of course, the last lady is actual Lady Gaga. Lady Gaga's birthday today in 1986. And one reason I want to bring this up, guy, I can't recall the last time I seen someone reinvent themselves. And Fisher, please feel free to piggyback off this story with yours too if you want. Sure. I can't recall the last time I seen someone reinvent themselves to such degree as Lady Gaga. She went from this crazy. I mean, this woman wore a dress made of meat.
That's right.
To an award show.
It's at the Hall of Fame. You could see it.
Yeah, if you hear the people talking about it, it's
fake meat. It's fake. I mean,
it was foul.
Yeah.
But anyway, just ridiculous with the outfits. She was crazy, and then all of a sudden, she just turned into this elegant, a woman of grace. It's just amazing transformation. She's always had the voice. She's always had the talent. Next, she's thinking with Tony Bennett and things like that. And it's been marvelous to watch. And she was absolutely incredible last night. Fish?
Yeah, absolutely. So, by the way, with Tony Bennett, if there's stories about that out there, I think it was in 60 Minutes, but just a super sweet story. She sang with Tony Bennett on his last live performance and just guided him through it. And that same demeanor. And we'll talk about the other crap at the Oscars here in a minute. But, one of the best moments, if not the best moments of the Oscars last
Far
evening.
none the best for me.
Yeah, this is at the very end of this, after all the crap happened with Will Smith and everything else. Lady Gaga came out on stage with Liza Minnelli. And poor Liza, I haven't seen her in years, but is in a wheelchair. Clearly is having some type of medical issues. She's a little disoriented, shaking a little bit and stuff like that. But she completely put the spotlight correctly on Liza Minnelli.
Yes.
And honored her. It was like 50 years.
Didn't embarrass her when she was fumbling. It was
absolutely not. Held her hand.
Way a little bit. It was just beautiful to watch.
It really was. And she guided her through it. You can hear them kind of talking underneath the camera. She's like, I got you. And
I got you.
Like,
I love that. Yeah.
Man, just so super sweet. And then Liza read the Best Picture winner, Coda. And she had a nice moment there. So if in the last days of Liza's life, I'm sure that's a highlight, obviously, to get out there and to be there with somebody so kind and courteous to walk in and to help her through that situation.
And a person like Liza Minnelli, who has done so much.
Yes.
I love the respect that she got, because sometimes these people don't get that respect. I can't forget an Oscar show way back when, the disrespect that was shown to Frank Sinatra at one time, and enough that Billy Crystal had to mention it when he came up.
They played him off or whatever.
Yeah, and it was pretty done terribly. But anyway, that was a great moment, and I didn't even like her music. I just kind of judged her by the way she was looking. Till I played a song with my band. We do Poker Face, and then I don't know if you guys have heard the song Applause. But that is like one of the most coolest, catchy songs you will ever hear in your life. Any Lady Gaga, Skinner?
I don't know much about her. I do know she got her start through YouTube. That's how they found her.
Oh, okay.
Little tidbit of information. But as far as her music, I know she's got a hell of a voice. I know her demeanor when she first came out was kind of, she did the Marilyn Manson thing with the shock factor, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Now,
a lot. But
I
I
had to study her. The only knock on her is I don't know if you guys know about the lawsuit that went on. There was another artist who had that persona, who dressed like that, and she mysteriously died. She was friends with Lady Gaga, and the mother accused Lady Gaga of totally stealing her act and everything. It's a really big story. Yeah, you got to check it out.
yeah.
But I just
No,
sent
I
you
don't.
guys a song applause. Check it out.
Okay.
We'll do that. But yeah, no, I've heard a lot. I want to see that movie she's in with Bradley Cooper.
Yeah. Yeah,
House
the
of
remake,
Gucci.
A Star's Born.
Oh, Star is
Star
Born.
is Born. I guess
Yes.
she's pretty phenomenal in that.
Yes. Yeah. Great stuff.
Yeah. That was a couple years ago. Best Picture, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yes, it was. Yes, it
Yeah,
was.
no.
Great song. So that's
Haven't
what I
seen
got,
it, but I've heard
guys.
it's good.
That's what I got. We know we got a lot to cover with Fish. So, Fish, take it away, my friend.
All right. Well, something happened on the Oscars last night. Like I said, it was beyond the good moments of Lady Gaga, but we all know what happened. The slap, like you said earlier, Keith, the slap kind of heard around the world. So,
literally.
Yep, absolutely. So by the time you listen to this, you probably most people have already seen it, 10 times. It's all over the place on social medias. But just in case you for somehow didn't hear or didn't see it, but Chris Rock came out and told a poor joke. He basically commented on Jada Pinkett Smith's bald head, and he compared her to. You basically saying he asked if she was going to perform the remake of G.I. Joe or G.I. Jane, excuse me, the G.I. Jane 2 or something like that, where Demi Moore shaved her head as a military service woman. It was Will Smith kind of laughed at first, and it seemed like he got the vibe that his wife did not like the joke. Got up, walked on stage. Chris Rock thought it was kind of a bit, and shockingly smacked him. Will Smith smacked Chris Rock across the face, which was just like, you imagine pretty shocking. And then Will Smith sat down and they had to bleep it. Keep my wife's name out of your effing mouth a couple times. And it was very tense. And Chris Rock was noticeably thrown off by it. And it certainly kind of derailed the Oscars there for a few minutes, to say the least. So huge event. So some people are saying it's staged. Some people are saying, there's arguments on both sides of the house as far as, even a close friend of ours is like, well, you talk bad about my wife, you should be hit too. Okay. Other people think, that's assault, and it's not the way to handle something like that, even though you certainly don't have to like it. So a lot of opinions, a lot of things out there. So, Keith, what's your initial thoughts about the whole thing? Can't hear you, Keith.
Can't hear you.
Okay, I've been waiting for this all day. Every time I had a thought, I wrote it down.
All right, Skinner.
Okay,
let's actually.
you jerk.
Go ahead, Keith.
Okay, so listen. Let's get the first thing out the way. The thought that ran through everybody's mind when they saw this. This is part of the act. This is stage.
That's what I thought at first.
So, after watching it very carefully, the first thing I judged that made me think it was fake was it looked like the slap didn't connect. And the more I thought about it, I said, I don't want to make my judgment based on what could possibly be a bad camera angle. I'm going to go off what I do know, and that's human nature. And when Will Smith sat down and began to say, keep my wife's name out of your effing mouth, he could barely get those words out without the emotions boiling over in him.
Oh, he was mad.
And I'm going to say this right now. This was fake. They got 2 more Oscars they need to give out.
Yeah, that's true. Yes, indeed.
I'm going to tell you that right now. The other person was Lupita Nyong'o's reaction sitting next to Will Smith.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Yep.
Chris Rock didn't know what to do. I'll give him credit for not walking off. He held it together. He fumbled for a minute, and all he could do was make a joke. And I totally felt him for a moment. And I'm going to tell you why I felt him. Because I was in that situation one time. Only twice in my life. You guys know I spent 25, 30 years playing drums in heavy metal and rock bands. Most of the time, I was the only black person in some of the places I was playing. So I was asked often throughout my career, do you ever have any trouble? 2 times. Once when I just got started, my young band was out, and I think it was Streetsboro, somewhere like that, playing in a battle of the bands. And I used to wear the mask with the goggles, and the goggles would steam up instantly, so I couldn't see anything. I had to know where all my drums and cymbals were by memory, because the first 3 songs I never took the mask off. And we came out in this battle of bands. We were in the finals with one other band. Busloads, carloads of people came up from Akron. When we took the stage, it was just chaos. Everybody from next door, where the bar was coming over to see what was all the noise about. So we went to the first song. It ended screaming. Started the second song. It ended screaming. Started the third song. Then we took a break for the singer to talk to the audience. When we took that break, there was a voice in the back of the room. I'll just say the word ninja. We all know what I mean. And he was like, here, ninja, ninja, ninja. Here, ninja, ninja, ninja. My heart fell in my shoes. I couldn't believe this was happening. I didn't know what to do. And just like Chris Rock, the only thing I could say was a joke. I said, your mama's a ninja. And just like the audience at the Oscar, everybody laughed with this uncomfortable laugh, but to try to make me feel better. Anyway, I totally felt that last night when it happened to Chris Rock. Long story short, let you know the entire bar jumped on this guy and beat him up. They had to sneak him out the back. But anyway, the other thing that got to me about this whole thing was I feel horrible for the people that Will Smith let down yesterday. The hypocrisy of what went down was terrible. Fisher, you glossed over it. But to me, that's the biggest point. I've seen so many different camera angles on this event. Dude was cracking up during those jokes.
Sure.
He was losing it. His wife wasn't digging it, and I'm going to tell you why. He's been on Chris Rock's been on her radar since 2016, when the black actors boycotted the Oscars. And Chris Rock was the host. And he read names of different ones that was not showing up. And when he read Jada Pinkett's name, and I'm going to tell you what he was saying in a roundabout way. He was saying, you're not that good of an actress. But what he said was, Jada Pinkett's not coming. He goes, Jada Pinkett? That's like saying, I'm not coming to Rihanna's panties. Neither one of us were invited. So you can't tell me she hasn't been ticked off since then. But keep that in mind for a minute. I'm going to circle back to that. So Will Smith laughed. That made him a hypocrite, in my opinion. When he realized his wife wasn't handling it, then he got pissed off. Now, this is, I'm not trying to, black women are sensitive about their hair. They're very sensitive about their hair. She has a disease called alopecia, which is causing her hair to come out. She told the world in her own personal video, and she kind of made a joke and laughed herself about it. These people have been the king and queen of Hollywood for over 20 years now. Comedians are known, especially Chris Rock, for going overboard. I'm not saying that was a lame joke. I'm not saying he shouldn't have said it, because I think he shouldn't have. But, dude, it's a comedy, man. It's comedy. Okay, just because your wife is ticked off about some other crap he said, it's comedy. If she had cancer, I could see that. If she lost a child, I could see that. But he made fun of the fact that she looked like a character from a movie. That's all he was saying. He wasn't making fun of her disease or anything like that. Now, he goes up and boom, he assaults the man. He goes and sits back down and he says, keep your wife's name out of my effing mouth. If he would have just stopped and said that, and not go up on stage, that would have been inappropriate, but at least I could understand. Okay, dude's defending his wife because she's not having this. But still, come on, man. He assaulted him. The other thing that ticks me off was the fact that, and I'm just saying this as a black person. I said this today, and somebody tried to cut me off. Oh, race had nothing to do with it. I said, listen, why don't you shut up? Because you don't have a clue what you're talking about from my point of view. As a black man, the strides that we have made to break out of stereotypes. And, there's levels of celebrityism. There's your comedians, There's your athletes, there's your TV stars, and your movie stars are supposed to be at the top of the tree. This is the black tie affair, tuxedos a bit. You know, they don't dress like that at the Emmys. They don't dress like that at the Grammys. You know what I'm saying? And on the biggest stage, which I said slap heard around the world, because it is, because of all the foreign directors, all the foreign movies. This show was showed all over the world. He went up and assaulted a man. Really? Did you just do that because you're mad? I thought there was pity. And these people talking about, oh, he defended his wife. What do you mean defended his wife? He didn't get in his wife's face. He didn't hit his wife. He made a joke from 30 feet on stage. How was he defending his wife? And if you didn't like what he said in 2016, you had 7 years to go up to him and say, hey, dude, keep my wife's name out of your mouth. So I thought it was lame on his part. I don't know how anybody can defend him. Everybody has the right to their own opinion, but I thought it was full of crap. There was the hypocrisy of his acceptance speech really killed me. You stood up there and started crying, saying God has made you a vessel of love after you just slapped a man's chiclets out of his mouth.
Yeah, that was weird.
Yeah, and then you said you've learned that you've got to take abuse from people. You didn't take it very good a minute ago. So I thought that was like, gosh, are you freaking kidding me? And then to apologize to the Academy and everybody else except Chris Rock. Now, I know you said he apologized to him today, but he didn't last night. I thought that was hypocritical. So a lot of things really bothered me about that. I have no room to defend this man. I think he should be charged with assault. I think he should have his Oscar stripped as well, because the Oscars come with a code of conduct. I don't know if people know that. It has a very strict code of conduct that goes along with those awards. And I think he should be stripped of it. So that's my take on the whole thing.
They are looking into it, they say. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But, yeah. All right, Skinner, what do you think?
Pretty powerful stuff you said there, Mr. Porter. I agree with a lot of what you said. I know you and I talked a lot this morning about this.
Yes, we
did. Because I had a real long conversation via text because Miss Marcy was working, and I showed you excerpts of it. And she came across as a very soft, caring wife type person, which is not typically Marcy in a normal sense.
Can I set you up here, Skinner?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, for those you don't know, Marcy is Skinner's better half, his wife for all intents and purposes.
Yeah,
I don't know too many people on this earth that I have more respect for than Miss Marcy. And Skinner was kind of taken aback today because obviously he lives with her, talks with her daily, because her response to this wasn't what he expected. And I just want to put that in motion because he was all shocked telling me, and I'm like, dude, I'm not shocked. I don't know how she would have felt about this. I had to make him realize I don't live with her every day. Then a light kind of came on. He was like, okay, yeah, you're right. But it hit him that hard this morning that he texted me like 9 o'clock this morning. So go ahead with that, buddy.
Yeah, she came across that he's defending her honor. Now, she also goes to say that 2 wrongs don't make a right. The joke was in bad taste. It was a good joke at the wrong time.
Thank you for putting it that way.
Yeah, it's a good joke. It should have been done somewhere not on public television, certainly not around the world. Everybody's eyes are on it.
Or I think it should have been done if she had shaved her head on purpose for a role, then the joke would have been funny.
Right. Or if she did it for a cause, something to that effect.
Right,
but because it's a health condition, it was in poor taste. So I'll knock Chris Rock on that one. But come on, Will Smith, you cannot go up on stage and assault a man for any reason. Not on television, not on where every eyes across the world and across the globe. Especially if this happened, from my understanding, this happened right after his speech or before his speech.
No, before his speech, yeah. He won the
so
Oscar.
You assaulted
a
man, then you come out and talk all this stuff that you did on your speech, your acceptance speech.
In tears.
In tears. I'll be the first one to tell you, I'm a huge Will Smith fan for his music.
Me too.
For his acting. For what he's done in Hollywood up until last night. The man is royalty, and he's earned that. There's not many things that Will Smith has done that I haven't liked.
Okay, Skinner, and let's talk about why he's earned that. Because he's done it all with class.
Yes, exactly.
He had 2 of the biggest rap albums in history and never said a curse word.
That's correct.
And that was during the height of gangster rap.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's when he earned my respect. Yeah.
Huh? He got a damn comedy show on TV based off his rap against based on his persona. So, man, I hate to feel this way about the way I do about Will Smith today that I didn't feel 48 hours ago. But man, 2 wrongs don't make a right. I don't condone Chris Rock for the joke. It shouldn't have been said. But man, Will Smith, bad look, and I'd be curious to see what happens here.
Bad look. We don't want the man to be, crucified. Okay,
no, I don't want him to be chastised. But he made a mistake.
People just can't gloss this over. Like, I don't know. I have the utmost respect for Marcy, and I'm not just saying that because she's your better half. As a matter of fact, if anything, I hold that against her. So, but I just don't see how anybody can defend him. Fish.
Yeah, I don't condone the act at all. I mean, any one of us here would be pissed off if anybody was making fun of any person that we loved, especially a woman in our lives that we love very much, whoever that might be, your mother or significant other.
Person, what about me? If we didn't do the show over the internet, I would have assaulted you 2 a long time ago.
Yeah, that's why we keep it
as early as earlier today.
That's one reason we keep it separate. No, but violence is not the answer. You could defend your wife, like you say. There's other ways to do it. You could say something. You could walk off the set. There's different things you could do to show that I don't care for this or whatever it is. I talked to Allie about this tonight, and she had a very interesting opinion on the whole thing. And her take was some of this too is, again, you never can condone assault, but she said the same token, the Oscars needs to figure out, what it wants to be. She's like, they have this event. It's supposed to be a classy event, but yet they keep trying to turn it into a television show to make it entertaining. They bring in all these comedians lately. And even at the beginning of the show, I kind of liked it. I was laughing at some of this stuff too, but you got to go back and think about how this whole thing went. Amy Schumer came out, and those 3 ladies came out, and they were really making fun of some of the movies that were there. They're making fun of some of the people. You had a very off-color Leonardo DiCaprio joke about him dating young girls. It's a lot of stuff there, and you didn't hear anything from
they always push that envelope.
They sure do,
and they know Chris Rock. Chris Rock just a few years ago, the Kardashians were in the audience, and he said, "Oh, I see the Kardashians are out there," and he goes, "Any Kardashian fans out there?" He goes, "Watching the Kardashians is like heroin in Hollywood. Nobody wants to admit it, but somebody's doing it." Like,
see. But it's that type of stuff. She's like, she's sort of like, put yourself in Will Smith's situation, basically. The guy probably all day long his tension is off the roof already. He's waiting to go. He's waiting. He's up for this award. He's super tense. Everybody's in his face all day long. Cameras, microphones, everything. And you're already at a super tense level, and you don't know what's going to happen. And then the guy throws a joke like that out there, who the Academy invited in part because he's going to throw off-color jokes. Again, not saying justifies him slapping anybody. All I'm saying is they keep pushing, like you said, they keep pushing the envelope, trying to make this event a weird thing and all these off-color jokes.
Right, listen. So I like to point about what she said about how they're trying to turn it into something. And again, Allie, like Marcy, to the folks listening out there, Fish and Skinner will be the first ones to tell you they lucked out. Okay, so much respect for both of these ladies. But I don't buy that last part that Allie said, because we're not talking about somebody who's new here. We're talking about Will Smith.
Yeah, that's true too.
You know what I'm saying? This ain't your first rodeo. This ain't your first award. This isn't your first. I mean, what is pressure to Will Smith? Not to mention, And here's another thing I didn't bring up. You want to get sensitive about somebody talking about your wife? Name me one other couple who has their personal business and sex life out in public more than them, besides the Kardashians.
Sure.
They got the whole
Good
thing
point.
about their cross-dressing kids. They were talking. Jada was just on the show talking about the affair she had. They talk about it publicly. You know what I'm saying? You don't mind people talking about you when it's getting you ratings and whatever, because you were a little bit sensitive. And like I said, that look, man, I know that look Jada was giving him. I've seen that look on a black woman before. That woman was mad about the other stuff Chris Rock said about her. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I can't buy that, man. Pressure? What pressure? Yeah, this guy's been the king of Hollywood for years. He's ruled the rap world. He's ruled the TV world. He's ruled the movie world. Before The Rock, he was the biggest #1 draw when it came to action movies, you know? So this is hard for me to buy that.
So what do you think happens? Does nothing happen? Does it blow over? Does something happen to where you can't go to the ceremony next year? You know, what do you think's going to happen out of all this? Or again, nothing.
With cancel culture today, something's going to happen. I just don't know how severe.
Right.
You know.
It's hard to tell. On one hand, like Skinner said, we got cancel culture, but then on the other hand, like I was just mentioning, this guy does carry a lot of weight in Hollywood. So it's hard to tell. And there are a lot of people who are tired of comedians pushing the envelope. That's why they take Will Smith's side, not so much about for Will. They're just sick of comedians. You know what I'm saying? They're all competing to be #1, and they're pushing. You know, we were all talking on the group chat today, and I think it was Coach Cooper made a point. Somebody said if that had been Tupac or somebody, you wouldn't have gone up there and hit him. You know, if Suge Knight said something about your wife, you wouldn't have walked up there and done that. I mean, Chris Rock, really? 120 pounds, Chris Rock?
Yeah,
looks bad.
I think he apologized. I think there'll be a thing. I think it'll probably blow over. But I do think I'm curious to see if they do something different in next year's ceremony. If you don't see the comedians out there pushing the envelope like that as much, just to try to set a different tone.
Good point, Fisher. I think that would be a change, if any. I think that'll be a change. Or listen, get back to the classy comedians. We had Whoopi Goldberg, Billy Crystal, Robin Williams. Now we got Amy Schumer and Chris Rock. That's part of your problem right there.
Yep.
You know who these people are before you hire them. You know?
Good point.
So, those guys used to do humor and have everybody cracking up in a classy way. You know what I'm saying? And didn't harm anybody.
Yep. That's right. All right. So I guess we will see what happens. So we already talked about, beyond that, the very nice moment with Lady Gaga and Liza Minnelli. There were also other nice moments. You had the deaf actor win Best Supporting Actor, Troy Kotsur from Coda. And he got up there and signed his acceptance speech and all that. And he said some very nice things about the director and his father and family and all that. So that was definitely a nice moment. You had
Coda actually won Best Movie too. They won the big one, and they were signing. And when they won, I was like, what? Because I didn't think anything was going to beat King Richard for Best Movie. But deaf people, you're not going to beat that. Yeah, I mean, the only thing that could have beat that is a one-legged dog that found his way home from Black Oak, Arizona, or Arkansas, or something. But a bunch of deaf people, you're not going to beat that. So it was an incredible movie of the human spirit, and congratulations to them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the third woman director ever win the award. I think she won it twice. Yeah, that's it. It was it's like I said, just kind of a shame, and kind of a black mark on the whole thing. But beyond that, it was a I thought it was an overall entertaining Oscars up to that point with the performances and the tributes and the nice moments and all that. So it's just a real shame. So that's kind of it. Any last moments on the Oscars before we wrap up that topic here, guys?
I think we pretty hit everything.
All right.
Dwell on the good moments. There were some great moments. Dwell on those.
Yeah, absolutely, exactly correct.
Oh, did you guys see the slip, Serena Williams?
I did not see the slip. What slip?
Oh my goodness, Janet Jackson ain't got nothing on her. I mean, they were really had the cleavage out, both of the Williams sisters.
Oh yeah,
it was pretty bad. And Serena's popped open. I'm like, seriously, I don't understand why women want to show that much cleavage out. I don't get it. I just don't get it. And then you stare at them like, what are you looking at?
Yeah.
Oh my God. It was like an old man.
Yeah.
That was a get off my lawn moment if I've ever heard.
Tell me about it. Cover up.
All right. Looking at this week in pop culture history, some significant things the week of March 28th to the beginning of April. Of course, we weren't around for this, but back in 1881, the Circus debuted. So the P.T. Barnum and the Barnum and Bailey Circus began, and its final performance was May 21st in 2017, performing its final show in Uniondale, New York. Throughout the years, the training, the animal treatment and all that become more and more scrutinized, and they wound up not being able to have the elephants, and I think the big cats came soon after that, and that was just kind of it. So I know back in my time, I grew up, I went to the circus a few times. I mean, as a kid, it is certainly quite the spectacle. I don't know. Were you a circus kid? Is that something that you enjoyed growing up, or was it never quite your thing? And do you miss not being able to go to a circus like that anymore? Now, Skinner, what do you think?
Huge circus fan. As a kid, my older three kids, I took them every year to Barnum Bailey when they were up at it was a Gund Arena at that time.
You were born in one, right?
Yeah, right. Some would think that my circus life that I live, but no, I took the kids every year, and it was the highlight of all the things that I did with them. They absolutely loved it. Chelsea, my middle child, she was fascinated with elephants from day one, and that was, other than going to the Cleveland Zoo, I was able to take her to the circus and watch them perform, and she was just mesmerized. Absolutely mesmerized at the elephants. So kind of sad that PETA came in and did what they did and stopped something that's been going on for what, if my math is right, 117, 118 years, maybe even longer than that, maybe 120 some years. But I wish they would come back. I really do.
Keith?
Mixed thoughts about the circus. My biggest memory about the circus is third grade, remembering the kids that got called up to get their coats in the middle of class, and the teacher announcing that their parents were taking them to the circus. It used to really break my heart. I have never been to the circus in my life as a child. Listening to Skinner talk about Chelsea with the elephant. My son was on the elephant kick when he was little. You guys all know Steel. He just loved elephants. I had to draw him so many elephants. Daddy, draw elephant. Draw baby elephant. Now draw the mom elephant. Just one elephant. And one year we got him elephant ears for his mom bought him elephant ears for Halloween. And the kid stood in the mirror for hours with his ears on crying because he was an elephant. So I made sure that I took him. It was a small circus, but I took him to ride on an elephant when he was a kid. I didn't want him to not have any of those memories like I was deprived of. That being said, the whole PETA thing, I kind of get it. I do feel sorry for some of these animals that, captured for entertainment purposes, taken out of their natural environment and their natural ecosystem. So I do kind of get that a little bit. So just kind of sucks both ways.
Yeah, it was certainly the spectacle while it lasted. I'm with you. If they have to mistreat the animals to do it, then that's a tough thing. But as a kid, like I said, I definitely enjoyed it. It was very cool. I took Peyton to see the circus a time or two. It was, again, very, very cool, and to see the big cat tamers. That, to me, that was something else. To see those folks in those cages with those tigers that could just, kill them at a second if it felt like it. Was just,
what I wanted to
pretty
see?
amazing stuff.
Trapeze artists. That's what I wanted to see.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, the athleticism of those folks was definitely pretty amazing. So I don't think we're going to see it again. I think it's over. I think it's it.
Yeah.
I think maybe you do some variation of it with the performers and stuff like that. But, these days, with obviously all the reality shows and this and that and the other, it's just probably a lost.
And of course,
Cirque
du Soleil come out with a human circus. They're phenomenal.
Yeah, that's right. Yes.
Phenomenal act.
Absolutely. Okay, in March 29th, back in 1983, a very famous toy in our generation was patented for the first time. The Rubik's Cube received its official U.S. patent in 1983. Erno Rubik. I had no idea it was actually the guy's name that created the cube. And there's Keith has one on camera right now. Absolutely. So he was a Hungarian sculptor and a professor of architecture. He invented a logical toy way back in 1974. And it was widely believed he created it to help his students understand 3D objects. But apparently his actual purpose for doing so was to solve a structural problem of moving parts separately without causing the whole cube to fall apart. So he obtained a Hungarian patent for this magic cube in 1975, with the first batches produced and released in Hungarian toy shops 2 years later. In 1979, he made a deal with Ideal Toys, who changed the name to Rubik's Cube, which debuted at the New York City Toy Fair in 1980. However, it wasn't until this day in 1983, on March 29th, that he received the official U.S. patent. So as a kid in the 80s, you probably had a Rubik's Cube, and it is still very prominent today, and they've come out with all these variations of it. I have like a Homer Simpson Rubik's Cube, for example, in a 3D. If you could almost think about it, there's probably a Rubik's Cube for it, but the classic toy, and to see some of these people who are experts at it, they could just flip it and solve it so quickly. I don't know. I was never able to solve the official Rubik's Cube without either peeling off the labels or breaking it apart and re-putting it back together. I don't know about you guys.
I've had this one 5 years, and I still haven't gotten it.
Yeah.
I have a 12-year-old drum student, does it in 3 minutes. And he keeps trying to teach me. And I'm just like, dude, you either see it or you don't. You know what I mean? And I'm determined that I'm going to learn it. I'm going to come on the show one day and do it. But this was a craze like no other. I remember, Lord forgive me, sitting in church with a Rubik's Cube, twisted it. Then they came out with the Rubik's Cube keychain. Oh, that really got everybody in trouble. You know, everybody at work and wherever trying to figure it out. I thought I was somebody when I could get one color on one side, and that's about as close as I've gotten. Get her?
Yeah, that was one of those toys that everybody had, at least one, if not multiple, especially when they come out with the variations. But no, back in the day, I was able to couldn't do it in 30 seconds or a minute or even 5 minutes, but I was able to solve those things when we were teenagers. But if I was to do it today, not sure I could. But
trivia.
Yeah.
What show did they feature the kids doing it in like 30 seconds or less? There was 2 shows.
Ripley's Believe It or Not, wasn't it?
Nope. Real People, and That's Incredible.
Oh, God.
Remember That's Incredible?
Okay.
I used to watch those,
Yeah.
Good shows.
Okay. Huh.
Yeah.
How about that?
Man. Yeah, I was sitting around I had the Homer Simpson one. Like I say, I still have that one. I was sitting there playing with it. Click, 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 and the next thing I knew, I solved it. So I did solve the Homer Simpson Rubik's Cube, but that's the closest I got. I never did solve the classic. So, but great toy. a
Yes.
great thinking
Great
toy,
toy.
and you
Great.
think about some of the mindless toys that existed even in our era and since, but that toy at least did make you think and use your brain. So in
I'd
that
rather my
respect, it was
kids
very, very good.
sit with this for an hour than on TikTok.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Great point. Okay, March the 30th in 1981.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we were youngins back then in grade
Mhm.
school age. But I remember when this happened because it was one of those wheel the TV into the
I'll never
classroom
forget.
moments.
Yes.
We had a couple of those in our time where they brought the TV in on the stand. But 81, President Ronald Reagan is shot on March the 30th. So uh, obviously we know what happened. You know, he was lucky to survive, close, but he did make it. Um, I think the guy isn't he being released on parole? I think
I'm not
the
sure.
I think so. But anyway, John Hinckley Jr. Yeah, shot outside
Mhm.
Washington D.C. hotel. And he's been in jail for some time. Like I said, I have to look that up. I think he's being
Mhm.
released actually
Yeah, I
after all
think
these
so.
years. But other victims included Secret Service agent Timothy McCarthy, and they've made the McCarthy law that the handgun law. No, that's a James
No,
Brady.
not
Excuse me,
McCarthy. Yeah, it's a Brady
Brady.
law.
James Brady. I said it
Yes.
wrong. James Brady. Yeah,
Mhm.
sorry. But he was 70 years old at the time, President Reagan. He wasn't even aware he'd been shot at first. He thought he was, even though he was suffering from collapsed lung, he walked into the hospital under his own power
Yes, he did.
and told his wife just before surgery, "Honey, I forgot the duck." So he still had his famous humor for President Reagan. So,
Honey, I forgot the
uh,
duck.
yeah. So it's in our time that was obviously a big moment that the president was nearly assassinated right there on television. So
All right.
I remember the moment as a kid. It was just like, wow, I knew it was a big deal. But do you guys remember the moment?
I will never forget that moment. Um, pers- per- particularly because it was a very shameful moment at my elementary school. It's been an amazing ride growing up black in America. It's almost a community unto itself, like the information wire. And it's terrible how so much misinformation affect our lives. When Ronald Reagan was uh, uh, made it to president, there was panic within the black community because Ronald has 6 letters. His middle name is Wilson. It had 6 letters, and Reagan had 6 letters.
Oh
And
boy.
he was called the mark of the beast, the Antichrist, and all this other stuff. It was a very shameful moment in my elementary school when he was shot. There were kids running up and down the hallway cheering and
Oh,
celebrating that he got shot. I'll never forget my teacher was almost in tears and in shock at the behavior. I just sat there like, you got to be freaking kidding me, right? I, but this is the information that gets to people and it trickles down to your children. So I blame the parents. Um, but it was a very, very terrible, very, very terrible time. Um, a total lack of understanding of politics, of religion, of scripture, and of just morality, I thought. So I'll never forget that when that happened. That's my memory of that. Shameful to say.
Yeah. Skinner.
yeah. Some can argue that that's the last time we had a good, decent president in office. Some say that. Some, everybody has their own opinions. Um, I remember if this was 1981, I was going on 10 years old. And I remember the TV, black and white TV, rolling into the classroom and watching I remember flashes of cameras going off, and then you hear the shot, and then you see the panic, and yeah, it's like it happened yesterday. That's one of those I don't say defining moments, but one of those moments in history, just like the Challenger, blowing up.
Right.
Those two things happened while I was in school, and those things are ingrained in memory, and I'll
hmm
take that to my grave.
And don't forget, Hinckley did that to impress Jodie Foster.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
right.
So, shameful, like you said, that the misinformation, the kids are cheering for somebody getting shot. I mean, that's just, excuse me, I apologize.
No problem.
I I know how I felt and how my family felt when that happened. Can only imagine how you felt and your loved ones having to get the misinformation that was given, because that shouldn't have happened.
And just
Shouldn't happen.
a lack of respect, period, for a president. We know that has grown to massive proportions now, especially with Obama and Trump, and of course Biden. But back then, that was terrible. I know we're not doing politics right here, but I want to say something. You said about something the last time we had a good president. Just interesting side note with that. I personally don't see what was so great about him. Um, but there was a lot of good things that happened under the Clinton administration, and a lot of people point that out. Somebody made a point. It's just food for thought. They said, when Reagan was in office, his whole theory was trickle down economics, and he said it would take 20 years for it to work. And 20 years later, you had Clinton. So maybe it was Reagan. Just something to think about.
If there's one good thing that came out of that whole thing, was the incredible parody on Saturday Night Live. Buckwheat has been shot with the great Eddie Murphy and Joe Piscopo.
Yeah.
Is just completely making fun of the media, not the fact that the president was shot, but just the over-the-top news coverage media at the time. It was crazy, and they had Alfalfa being interviewed and everything else.
That was awesome.
Go back and watch it on YouTube if you haven't seen that at all or lately. Buckwheat has been shot.
Underrated pairings in comedy. Piscopo and Murphy were amazing together, man.
They really were.
Oh my gosh! Remember the Stevie Wonder and
Frank Sinatra,
Paul McCartney, the Ebony and Ivory.
But Joe Piscopo did.
He did
Frank Sinatra,
but he did. They did the Ebony. That's right. He did Sinatra, Ebony and Ivory. Yeah, just phenomenal, man. Those two were great together.
Yeah, you're right about that. Okay, last topic. Not as bad as President Reagan getting shot, but some think it was fairly close. Back in 1997, March the 31st, the debut of the Teletubbies happened. So if you had little kids back then, you probably knew of the Teletubbies. Peyton missed that. She wasn't around at the time yet, so she wasn't born until 2000. But just one of the weirdest, oddest children's shows probably of all time, but yet they were an incredible hit. Debuted, let's see here, for the first time in 97 as a British preschool TV series. And it made its way over to the U.S. So never got it, thought it was strange. Skinner, Teletubbies, any thoughts at all? Did you have any young kids at the time around the house that watched them or what?
Oh yeah, that was Brianna and Chelsea's preschool time. Chelsea was 2, Brianna was 3. Chelsea was fascinated with Teletubbies. We had to buy the outfits for her and the shoes that had the Teletubbies on the shoes. I mean, she was the epitome of a fanatic, and so that was always on the television. When at home during the day, Teletubbies was on, and that was Chelsea's favorite. So odd. Didn't understand it then. I don't understand it now, but for a 2-year-old mind, it was fascinating.
Yeah. My son never got into them. I found them disturbing. The only memory I really have of them was the controversy of Winky.
That's right. Tinky Winky, Jerry Falwell.
It was said that was the covert homosexual symbol, because they all had the symbols on top of their head, and he was accused of having that symbol. So I remember all that stuff about him, but I just found him utterly disturbing and never bought one or got into that.
All right. We have I couldn't think of any creative segue there whatsoever.
Is that really
To
how
go
we're
from-
going to end on Teletubbies? Are you
Go
serious?
from Teletubbies to
God.
I know. It's just
Final
gotta
Four
have something.
matchups.
Okay, here's
Got
one.
Final Four matchups.
Oh, yeah, you get the Final Four matchups.
UConn won tonight, ladies. Okay. Double overtime. Go ahead, Fish.
Okay, that's all right. How about this? So March the 30th, Jeopardy aired for the first time back in 1964. Iconic show.
That's
So,
crazy.
Yeah.
The
Now
only
Alex
game
Trebek-
show.
Still a long run.
The only
Alex
game show
Trebek.
that matters to me.
Yeah, Alex Trebek, rest in peace, man. He put that show into orbit.
Yeah.
When he took over.
To this day, my family just yells at me, "Why don't you go in there and win us some money?" Because I'll just sit there and answer question after question. And then there's days when I don't have a clue what they're talking about. Like, really?
Right.
It's just that show that the structure works. They don't mess with it. They've added a couple little, feature things with video clips and stuff like that. But for the most part, they have stuck with the format. They haven't screwed around with it. They haven't really changed even the money that they award. All this time, all the thing they've changed over the years is that you're on there as long as until you lose. That's been the interesting
it takes a
dynamic.
certain kind of person to know all that stuff, and it's like their kind of world. When you interview these people, they're like the corniest people I've ever heard. And I really love that and get a kick out of that. There was one guy on there who said that he was the king of what did he say? Not pop culture, of low culture. He knows WWE and beer and whatever, but he was brilliant. He answered a lot of questions and won a few games. But it is certainly a world for the insanely academia, know everything type of person to show off, and I love that.
Yeah, absolutely. How about that? That's a better ending.
A little bit better.
There you
Better
go.
story than the Teletubbies. How about
Opposite
that?
of the Springer Show.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Total opposite.
All right, so Skinner, you want to remind the folks?
Yep.
Take us out, please, sir. Yeah.
Where they can get a
Excuse me,
massage.
yeah. So once again,
That's right.
we appreciate another week of your viewership and listenership. For Brian Fisher and Keith Porter, I'm Michael Skinner. We wish you luck in this next week. Go Duke Blue Devils.
Yes.
And have a great week, folks.
Thank you, Miss Marcy, for your contribution. Thanks to Junior, our producer, Mike Skinner Jr. We love you. And Gustavus Dominic had a great conversation with him the other day. We love you, brother.
And don't forget Allie with her contribution as well.
Yes. Thank you,
Absolutely. Stay strong, Gen X.
And cut.